I got to sit down and speak to her yesterday. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Ireland Rugby Sevens player and Meath footballer Vikki Wall as Rugby Players Ireland launched their new content series, 7 Lessons with Rugby Sevens, supported by Zed Zurich Foundation. And together with Tackle Your Feelings, this series follows the Seven Stars as they revisit their old schools, reminisce and share their learnings that helped shape their path to the global stage, while also highlighting the TYF Schools programme. All episodes can be found on the Tackle Your Feelings YouTube channel. Vikki Wall, thank you so much for taking the time. How's things?
Thanks, Milash. Yeah, all good. Can't complain.
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about the series, 7 Lessons with Rugby Sevens.
Yeah, I suppose I got to go back to my old school in Dunboyne, which was class, and sat down with a few students, one of them being Anna Kane, who actually plays with us on the Dunboyne club team. So that was nice. Bit of slagging back and forth. But I suppose it just kind of highlighting, I suppose, like what we were talking about was, for me, let's say, like transition through different sports and juggling it and prioritizing it, and how relevant it is, I think, for like kids in school and things like that, just of, you know, time of year of exams, if they're playing sport outside it, whatever it is, it's very hard to learn to prioritize things, and to, I suppose, your focus is spread and you're burning the candles at both ends of how to kind of approach these things, who to chat to. I suppose just the idea of a support network and just things like that, I suppose, is highlighted throughout the series. And just obviously, I suppose, something I'm fairly passionate about, just making sure that you have that support network around you, and I suppose making sure you're chatting to everybody.
And was that always the case for you growing up in Dunboyne? Did you always know, like, my sporting ambitions are this, yes, but I also want a life outside of sport, and I want to be successful, whether it's with school or college or academics as well?
Yeah, but I think it takes a bit of time to learn how it works for you. Like, as in, I was playing county football in 6th year, and with you.
Yeah, I remember so well.
And I remember the one specific game, we were away to Limerick in the league during my mocks, and Mum drove me home, and I was trying to learn my English essays on the way home, of her with blasting the cold air driving me home. So there's obviously definitely a lot of sacrifice from family first and foremost, and then obviously trying to prioritise things. You're trying to play well, you're trying to eat well, you're trying to do well in school. So like, definitely would have found it difficult to, I suppose, balance it. But then even when you get to college, you kind of have to just be able to say, look, these next 3 weeks are exams for me. That's how it's going to be. The rest of the year is going to be football or whatever it is. So, I think people are very understanding if you kind of give them the black and white versus the wishy-washy kind of excuses of why you're not there. If you just kind of say to your manager or coach or work manager, whoever it is, like, look, this is what my next few weeks looks like. If you can give me a hand, I think people just appreciate that a lot more.
Yeah, I remember that time working full time and finding it so hard to be able to make trainings, and the cost of it, all of those things were going through my head. And then I remember you coming back in and you were doing your mocks and you were preparing for your leaving cert, and it sort of just put everything in perspective. When you look back at that time, would you have done anything differently, or do you think you're happy enough with how everything worked out?
I suppose the outcome may be happy enough with it, did all right and things like that. But I definitely think, could have chatted to even parents or teachers and things like that, just maybe getting better, I suppose, maybe approaches to things, and not just having to get up. Like, you do have to make sacrifices, I suppose, in different ways, whether it's getting up a little bit earlier before school to do some things because, you don't have time after school because you're going to Dunganny in the depths of winter. But I suppose just making sure that the people around you are aware of it, and not kind of being like in your bedroom after school, just stressed to bits about not being able to get things done. Just making sure that, friends, family, I suppose, teachers, whoever it is that you feel comfortable talking to, just knows, I suppose, what's going on.
I suppose the big thing is the rugby sevens, and that is what everybody is talking about at the minute. And it's so exciting because the men's gets underway today at the Olympics against South Africa, and then the women, they're going to head out on Sunday against Great Britain. So yeah, really looking forward to that. For you, obviously being in with the group, having trained with them, played with them, had all those experiences with them, and unfortunately, look, I know it didn't plan out the way you would have hoped for. What is your feeling on all of that now?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just can't wait. A few of us are heading over on Sunday morning, so we'll get all the women's games in. But I suppose just for the sevens program in general, to have like both squads going is just, and first, like, an unbelievable achievement. But I know that both squads aren't happy just to say that they got to the Olympics. Like, and I think that's definitely the, I suppose, under-ruling kind of momentum that's within both squads. And like the men's kicking off today as well is just, it's going to be unbelievable. Like, as in just for the rugby sevens, just the promotion of it within Ireland, I think. The women's specifically, obviously I've gotten a bit more of a closer look at how it runs the last year, and like just seeing the momentum, and I suppose we've been knocked down maybe a few times this year of not finishing where you want to, and obviously a massive win in Perth momentum wise and things like that. But I was just kind of saying earlier as well that I think there's a really good mix within the team at the moment of players that haven't experienced those kind of like losses or not like near miss of qualification versus, you know, the older players, Lucy and Lee, who have been there and not qualified for Olympics twice. That there's such a good mix of like feelings and expectations within the squad, and even experience levels. I think sometimes lack of experience is really positive. I think, you know, you don't have those scars, those battle wounds, and I just think there's within the team, it's really special, and I can't wait to go over and see them. And, you know, I definitely back them all the way. Like, it's a really, really great group.
That's amazing to have that outlook on it. And obviously you've got really close with them. I know from just even talking to some of the girls, I got to interview them last week. Like, it is a really close-knit group. That's definitely what I get from it. And then you can see that on the pitch as well. And for you, like, I suppose personally to process it all, Vikki, like that you had these setbacks. But I think if anyone knows, you know, what in sport, you're going to have these setbacks. You know, obviously playing with Meath for so long, you had to wait for success for so long. What was it like to process it, that you might not be going as a player, but you'll be there to support them?
Yeah, I think I'd be lying if I said I'm still not still processing it, because I definitely am. Like, I think it's something that maybe obviously from the outside perspective, it's something that people within the program have had their eyes on for the last 4 years, because that's the Olympic cycle. And maybe for me, you know, people would say, oh, sure, it's only been a year for you and stuff, but it also has been maybe a year from my end of, you know, complete all-in sacrifice and things like that as well, from a different perspective from some of the girls in the program. But we all had the same goal for this year, and it's, you know, one in, all in, and regardless of my own kind of personal feelings towards selection. And obviously you're disappointed in sports. I wouldn't be in the programme if I didn't want to, you know, be putting my hand up to do it, which is obviously disappointing. But just, I suppose, like, I'm tying in with this whole, the 7 lessons with rugby sevens of like how much I've needed to lean on my friends and family the last few weeks, like, as in, like, and I absolutely have, like, as in, there's no point, you know, pussyfooting around it of saying it's an easy few weeks. Like, it isn't. But then also you compartmentalize that because it's sports so much bigger than one person. And like this, like, regardless of whether I'm going or not, the rugby sevens women's team for the first time are going to the Olympics, and like that in itself is just unbelievable. And experiencing and getting to witness like the likes of Lucy, and like, as I mentioned Lucy just because I think like she is just like the epitome of the program. And I think anyone you would have talked to would say the exact same thing. And just even throughout the year, you know, there's been times you're sitting in an airport for 6-7 hours, or, you know, you're on a 13-hour flight over to Perth, and just like there's never a time where, you know, everyone just has such good intentions within the team, I think, is what I'm trying to say. Like, as in, the girls almost the day of selection almost cared more about how the people that weren't selected were feeling, you know, that kind of way. As in, like, it just is a really, really great group. And like, overall, as I said to my mum and dad as well, like, as in, if I had to go back to the start of the year and know that I wouldn't get selected and know that this would be the outcome, like, as in, I'd 100% do it all over again. And just for the learnings that I've had throughout the year from my own, from like myself as a person, like, as in, it's definitely been a massive challenge. But I have really, really enjoyed it so much.
That's an incredible way of looking at it. And I think maybe only the top level professionals in sport are going to look at it that way. Is that a mentality that you've always had, or do you think you've sort of developed that over time?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think, like, I've been fairly blessed with the sports that I've played, that I have probably been on the end of starting and playing more games than I haven't. And I'm acutely aware that that is a privilege in sport, and, you know, you get there and you have to kind of keep your spot, whatever it is. But maybe this year I've looked at it from a different perspective of, you know, being a complete novice in a brand new sport and all those things, but just also trying to keep that same mindset even when you're not. And I think I've had a really good outlook of it this year. And it's been like definitely opened my eyes to sport in a different level of, you know, when you're a starting player on a team, and when you're, you know, constantly playing, it's very easy to have and I don't use the word preach, but as in, you know, you talk about your core beliefs, you talk about the values of a team. But I think for me, like, as in, when the whole panel, like the girls that don't get a second, the girls that, you know, all these type of things don't even get brought to tournaments, all still have that same ideology and are still able to turn up to good training and do those things. Like, I think that kind of epitomizes sport to me, to be honest. And like, even looking around the team this year, like, there's people that aren't getting to go to the Olympics, like Avian Riley, who's done her cruise sheet again, and, you know, Kate, who did her endometriosis in Croatia, the tournament just before, you know, selection. Like, that's a cruelty in a different kind of sense, you know, that kind of way, is in like, I didn't get picked because I don't fit the team, or I'm not good enough, those type of things. Like, that stuff it's within my control. Whereas like those girls, you know, it's just been ripped from them, and, you know, you just have to kind of compartmentalize things and look at people around you and like just think of the bigger picture of the team sport. But to answer your question, have I always had it? I think it ebbs and flows. I think, you know, when you're tested, it's kind of when it kind of shines through a little bit more.
And you probably look at the journey as the bigger picture, like you're in the middle of the journey at the minute. Like, you made your competitive debut at the World Series in Perth. Ireland emerged as the tournament winners for the first time. Like, incredible to see those scenes and to be there with the Irish jersey on your back. Like, that must have just been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, it'd be easy to get to the end of the year and say, oh, didn't make the Olympics, whatever, and kind of you look at it in that sense. But like throughout the year, like, as in, I've had so many little milestones and things that, like, at the start of the year in August and the first few weeks in the program, like, if you told me I'd have that, I like probably maybe wouldn't have believed you, just because of the transition of it. But yeah, look, I suppose getting to wear an Irish jersey, like, is something that I didn't think I'd get to do, and just be able to, like, to get that win in Perth with the girls was unbelievable. And, you know, there's so many little things throughout the year that just are unbelievable experiences that I'm beyond grateful to have had.
And then you go back playing with Meath. We saw you come off the bench against Kerry. That was incredible to see as well. I'm sure maybe something you didn't think you would do this year, but it was great to see you back in the Meath colours.
Yeah, no, definitely didn't think I'd get the chance to do it. But yeah, not the outcome we wanted. So I'm not sure I'd be celebrating it too much. But it was great, obviously, to get to play with the girls. Like, it's always a massive honour.
And are you back training or anything with Dunboyne? I'm sure they're calling you flat out.
Yeah, no, doing a bit of training now with Dunboyne, and then I'll head back over to Australia mid-August to play AFL for season 9, and then I'll be back within the 7th programme in December.
Amazing. So the rugby is what you want to continue to do. Like, you fell in love with the game a bit?
Yeah, I suppose just, like, I'm kind of not satisfied to just have given it this, I suppose, last 10 or 11 months. I want to kind of see where I can get to and what I can do with it. I think it's, I've only maybe kind of started to understand some of the things in the last few months. So I'm definitely going to see if I can push myself a bit further in it.
It's a very difficult sport to understand, like, even covering it, and, you know, meeting different journalists that have been covering it for 20, 25 years will always tell me they're constantly learning. It's just one of those sports. Was it really challenging to find that transition between, obviously, AFLW, GAA, and then coming into rugby?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it made me feel a bit more at ease when I'd be sending a clip to some of the girls saying, like, what's this penalty given for? And you come back with 2 different answers. So I'm like, okay, like, it's I'm not doing too badly here. But I suppose, like, just the culture within the sevens, and I suppose it has been professional for a good while, and getting to, you know, bounce ideas off people and, you know, feel valued and be able to, like, there's absolutely no judgment there with my lack of experience when I went in, and nobody kind of waited around for me. I was getting pushed around and told what to do in training, and that was exactly the way I wanted it. Even if sometimes it might piss you off a bit, but as in, like, the way they treated me in the environment and the transition into it was really, really good.
So when do you head to Australia?
Mid-August.
Amazing. Good stuff. Brilliant. Well, Vikki, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time now.